Hey, real estate investors, fund managers, syndicators, and capital raisers. If you're struggling with falling short on your capital raises for your real estate deals, if you're also struggling with finding investors beyond your network of friends and family, if you are spending thousands and thousands of dollars and weeks on end to travel to conferences to try to find investors, only to find that the people at those conferences are also trying to raise capital from you, so you're not getting any traction. And if you're really struggling with predicting how much capital you can raise from a deal, because investors say they're going to wire to your deal and then they back out, and you are completely exhausted, hey, I've got you. Hit the subscribe and follow button, and I promise I will deliver free content to you every single week that's going to help you level up, make this capital raising game much better and more efficient. And we're going to do that week in and week out for you. Raising capital for real estate investors. I'm already excited. I'm really thrilled to welcome you all to this episode today. For those who don't know me, my name is Amy Silvis. I'm the founder and CEO of Silvis Capital. We have a $500 million in assets under management with our investors. And I love to teach people how to raise capital and help them on their capital raising journey. But this episode is not about me. This is about Mr. Lajide Lawane. Hopefully I said that properly. I've been rehearsing. Friend, welcome to the episode. I've really been looking forward to this.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Yes. Well, for those who don't know you, you're a lot of fun to get to know, but tell us a little bit about yourself and then we'll kick this off. How's that?
Yeah, definitely. Lajide Richard Lawan. I'm a physician. I practice ICU medicine. And on the side, I have been in real estate since 2011, but specifically commercial real estate since the end of 2024, so the last 2 years.
Incredible. And most people know my story, but as a person living with cystic fibrosis, a severe lung condition that received a miracle drug and restored my health about 7 years ago, I am infinitely grateful to amazing people like you, especially an ICU physician. So thank you for all you do to help people that are in probably the worst days of their lives and their most vulnerable states. Truly, you do amazing work. So thank you on behalf of everyone you've ever helped.
Thank you very much.
Well, we're here. I don't know how to make that transition between the profound work you do in your W-2 as a medical doctor to raising capital, but we're going to go through that transition. Let's talk a little bit about where you are in your capital raising business. Most people know about our 4 stages of capital raising, and we'd love to just start this off, understand where you are. As a quick review for folks, the first phase of capital raising is the fear zone. We've had little, if any, success raising capital. Maybe you feel like a bit of an imposter. You're terrified of asking friends and family to invest in your deal. Then we have pipeline purgatory. We've got some early confidence with maybe a raise or 2 under your belt, but maybe that confidence phases a little bit as your friends and family are tapped out from capital. Maybe you're spending a lot of money traveling to conferences and trying to get investors that you don't necessarily already have a relationship with. Then there's the bottleneck break point where your capital raising is nice and consistent and your confidence is growing, but the amount of capital you're raising has plateaued and you really want to get that to the next level. And then of course the confidence zone where capital raising feels predictable. Each raise grows in size. You've got all sorts of systems and processes that are going off without a hitch, and raising capital really supports lifestyle freedom and feels easy and scalable and fun. Doctor, where do you fall on this spectrum here?
I fall squarely in stage 2.
Okay.
I have 3 raises under my belt, and I can talk a little bit about them because the first raise I did very well.
Okay.
I raised over 2.4 million. That was end of 2024. We closed that deal March of 2025, March of last year. It was a $49.1 million deal that I raised with my partners and mentors. So there was a $22 million raise that they had on their hands. And I think they had about 8 million to go and they were stuck. And then I joined, I became a mentor and became a general partner. And obviously I had a lot of emotional capital and political capital, whatever way you want to call the capital, people that I've worked with for years.
Yes.
So I was able to tap a lot of people and get about $2.5, $2.4 million raised for that deal. So, and that, my coming to the deal kind of, raised a lot of momentum. People were all fired up again, and we were able to close the deal successfully about 3 months after I joined.
Great. I love it. That's impressive. Very, very
Thank you.
impressive. Yeah.
The second and the third one didn't go that well.
Well, let's talk about it though, because
No,
I
I
hear
was able
this
to
all the
raise something.
time. Yeah, but I hear about this all the time. It's really the trajectory. So, it would actually be really helpful before we get into your questions, if you could talk through a little bit what that's like. So people are probably going to see themselves in you. Do you mind talking about what happened?
And so the second deal, so we closed the first deal March of 2025, and the second deal was closed in August of 2025. And that was the mid 20s range. I think that we purchased that product for about 23, 24 million. And I struggled. And it was two parts. Obviously, my friends had tapped out because it was just the time was very short to get into the next deal because they weren't expecting to get that deal, but they got it out of market and they were like, let's jump on it. So, and I remembered my mentors telling me that, oh, you don't want to lose this momentum. You keep going, call everybody on the phone. And it's not just who I am.
Yeah.
So I felt a little bit of, kind of funny just calling people up because people that I actually raised the first deal with were people I was working with currently. I moved from Michigan to Georgia in end of 2019. So there were people in Georgia, people that I worked with in Michigan. I didn't really raise anything from them. I kind of mentioned to one or two of them. But when you've not been in an environment for about 5 years, you start losing that, the little bit of influence you have there.
Yeah.
So I just kind of felt funny, kind of blunging them for, oh, you got to, raise something. But I remember my mentors just kept telling me, just go through your phone, just go through your phone. Even people that you knew in residency. And I finished residency in 2010. That's a long time ago. So, so I didn't want to start, reaching out to those folks. So that was why when I found you, it just kind of aligned with what I thought should be. I was trying to kind of decide, how do I attract people rather than kind of go after them and call and text and yeah, that kind of thing.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think you highlight something really important. We can talk through it more here on the episode of this mindset shift. Or are we trying to get people to do something, or are we offering an opportunity that they're excited about? And are we helping them along the journey to understand how we're helping them solve a pain point, alleviate a fear, or reach a goal? Two very, very different mindsets. And people can find success in one way or another, but it sounds like you and I are both in the camp of we don't really want to strong arm people. That's not really our personality. And I would go so far as to say, I don't think that really serves people. We're not here to force people into something. We're here to find people that are thrilled and excited and understand the opportunity. They understand the risks too. And so they're able to make a great decision and feel really good about wiring money to us as opposed to feeling kind of obligated or strong armed or kind of dragged along. So I really appreciate you mentioning that. And I think that probably aligns well with, how you behave in medicine and why you got into medicine to begin with, right? You're a helper. You're someone who wants to help people. So that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. And I think my mentors actually came from a place of, they were wanting to help me out. Number, they saw that I was losing that momentum. And because something else happened too, after the first deal was closed, I just, I had, obviously I was introduced to LinkedIn during that episode, and it was more like I went a little bit viral. I have one of my, I think the first few posts that I did, I was in Ireland at one point. I lived in Ireland for 5 years. That was where I met my wife before I came to the US. And I came to the US with my wife after we got married and stuff. So I was in Ireland for 5 years. I did psychiatry there. So, but before I actually was able to sit the exam in Ireland, I had to work. It took me about a year to actually sit the exam because they have to have a quorum before they actually say, this is the exam day. So that year, for the first 3 months, I worked as a toilet cleaner in nursing homes. So made a post about that really went viral, about 39,000 kind of deals on LinkedIn. So I kind of felt like a fish in a bowl. Like, there was, after a few months, there was just this kind of like, oh my God, everybody, I'm out there. And I'm a relatively private person, my wife, and she was also like, oh my God, we just kind of too out there. So both of us kind of retracted a little bit, because like I said, I've been in real estate since 2011. And we're like, maybe we should just go back to what we're doing. This is this being out there thing. Although we know why we made the shift, because there's just a lot of difference between doing things by yourself, day-to-day management. But there was just a lot of other, managing toilets and all that kind of stuff that was, having lawsuits and all. There's just a lot of stuff that can happen in that space
Yeah.
when you are doing stuff by yourself than when you actually partner with people and you're on the C-suite kind of thing, trying to make things work better. So looking at scaling, basically, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And you touched on kind of what we talked about in the 4 phases of capital raising of maybe this imposter syndrome, maybe some fear. It's all everyone goes through that. But I don't think we all know that that's part of the process when we're going through it, which is one of the reasons why I love this podcast and how I educate people because, it's not fun to feel imposter syndrome. It's not fun to feel fear. But if you know that you're not alone, it's not necessarily indicative that you're doing something wrong. It's part of the process. You can push through it, that much better. So I really appreciate you sharing your journey and what that looks like. And I'm excited to help you with some questions that you have. What's up first?
Like I said, I had a few questions up until I listened to your last two podcasts.
Okay.
The one you released today, the one for last week. And you talked mainly about the LinkedIn profile. Actually, one last week, you actually went through somebody's LinkedIn profile and you were able to kind of give them good tips about how they, this is what you do. This is what. So I'm like, I think I need something like that. I need an expose. And I really don't mind negative feedback or whatever kind of feedback it is. I know that it's coming from a place of I always want to improve on what I've done so far. And I'm really open to that. I do have questions on the side, but I don't know if you want to look through my LinkedIn profile and look at what it looks like and see what you think. I know I'm putting you on the spot. I'm supposed to be the one.
No, I'm happy to do it.
Your questions, not asking this kind of like, I'm putting you on the spot and like, look at my LinkedIn and give me your feedback.
No,
Okay,
don't
good.
be silly. I'm happy to. While
right.
I pull it up, ask me another question so I can let's see how well my brain can multitask and we'll get to that.
No
I just don't want to pause. Yeah. Let's
no
do
problem.
it. But I'm excited to do that.
I've listened to it, all of your podcast. Actually, let me expose myself again. So it is what it is. My company, which is called 3DS Capital, is actually based on transparency, our main core value. So in the spirit of transparency, I did through within 3 weeks. It was amazing. I started it and I couldn't stop. And I should actually give a shout out to Linda Holtz as well, because she was the one that first mentioned you to me. So, and I met Linda on LinkedIn as well. So it's just been tremendous so you talked about engaging pods. I have never been a part of one. I'm currently doing like a LinkedIn course, trying to get a little bit better. And so people that are in the course will engage on my posts sometimes, about 3 or 4 people. Is that part of being on a pod or not even 3 or 4 people? Okay. All right.
Yeah. And I don't mean to be the fun police. This is, I didn't create the algorithm. So I write the fun police, right? That's what it feels like because you're with your friends, you're with your peers and we're helping each other out. And Amy, why are you telling me this isn't okay? You all aren't the problem. That's the whole thing. You're not the problem. You're being punished for other people that are behaving badly. So you're not the bad actor. Other people are. But some people decide, hey, we're going to do a tit for tat. We're going to do this at scale. It's going to artificially hack the algorithm to make the content seem more popular, relevant, and important than it otherwise would be on its own. I know that's not you all, but this is why LinkedIn really punishes and throttles this, unfortunately. So the goal is, you want the organic reach, the organic comments and interactions from just people seeing you throughout your feed. If the algorithm does, and it will do this pretty quickly, notice that the same people are commenting on your content, maybe day in and day out, week in and week out, and then other people, and you're doing it to other people, it's pretty easy for them to see. So I get the intention behind it, but unfortunately, we want everything in your corner and nothing against you. And that is something that can really throttle your ability to get out to a wider audience and raise capital from strangers.
So there's something else that I've done that I do pretty regularly on LinkedIn. So my target avatar, I think, so that you can understand why I do it, there are physicians that are more in the middle stages of their career, because I'm just about 50. Just physicians around my age, people, because I can understand where they're coming from. I can
Of course.
understand their anxieties about money and wealth and things like that. I can feel what they are feeling
Yeah.
because I've been there or I am there. So generally when somebody has, maybe they've had a promotion at work or they've changed jobs, I will congratulate them.
Mhm.
I'll say, well done, that kind of stuff. Is that, part of with this new algorithm that they've come up with? Is that a no-no as well?
I wouldn't say it's a no-no, but I might flip the strategy a little bit because to your point, and if folks haven't listened to the episode, I'm going to bring folks up to speed by first saying, please go watch the episode. I'm going to look and see which episode number it is because I don't know off the top of my head, but I'll get you guys that.
You're currently on 37.
Okay, thank you. So I think it was 36 then.
Yeah.
You know better than I do.
Sorry, I know everything about it.
You're amazing. Thank you. So what I talked about in episode 36, as the brilliant doctor mentioned, the LinkedIn algorithm has completely changed. And so what we really want to do to make sure we're getting in front of our target avatar is commenting on content that's within our pillars that we're focused on LinkedIn. And so, yeah, kind of these cordial, congratulations, amazing job. We really want our comments to be a bit more targeted and a bit more adding value to our content pillars. So, but then you might ask, and I would ask if I was in everyone's position listening to this, isn't the whole point about building relationships? Absolutely. So what I would do instead of making that comment is I would send a DM and congratulate. And you wouldn't believe the conversations. I mean, not that that wouldn't happen in the comments already, but people, their guard is a little bit more down because it's a private communication. You wouldn't believe the conversations that would come from that. Just the fact that you saw it and you decided to reach out and re-engage. So please don't let that relationship building strategy slip. Let's just change the modality, make it a bit more personal, and then you can still do that. Yeah.
Actually, when I first started it, it was more of DMs, but more recently, it's been more commenting on it.
Yes.
So yeah, I think I'll revert back to the DMs to congratulate people. And I used to do like happy birthdays and things like that when people's birthdays come up, and it was always like in the DM. So
It's such a nice thing to do.
That's really a good feedback for me to have.
Yeah, great question. Really, really good question. I've got your profile. You want me to pull it up?
Yes, please do.
Do it. This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. Okay. So for those who are watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. If you're not, that's totally fine. We'll explain this so you all can get value from it as well. So, Doctor, you're not going to like this, but I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you think,
please.
Given what you heard on the profile episode, what do you think should be changed?
My about section, I read it after I listened to your last couple and it was more towards the end. I spoke about my company, but the first few lines was mostly about my time in medicine, which I'm still working full time. So
yeah, understood.
So, yeah. So I think that needs to be changed.
That makes sense. I agree. Let's go through that. I want to start at the very, very top because this is what people notice first and foremost. So the very first thing I always look at, which is the most important, is your profile picture. And you have a very warm, genuine smile.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, of course, which I think is fantastic for LinkedIn. The only issue I see, and for those who can't see it, hopefully by the time this episode comes out and people look at your profile, it'll be changed. You're just too small in the frame. So if it's possible to zoom in a lot more to show your eyes, your smile, all of that, I think that would be way more effective.
Okay.
The reason is about 80% of people look at LinkedIn on their phone primarily. Mm-hmm. So it's even smaller on your phone. So let me show you an example of my face, which I'm sure everyone has seen way too much. But just as an example.
Oh, yeah.
Let's have the top of your head. Yeah. So you can really see, the whites of my eyes a little bit, my teeth from my smile. But we really want the top of your head to be almost at the top there and to really blow that out. Zoom it in. Yeah.
Do that.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that'll make a big difference just because this is what people see when you comment. And when they first look at your profile, it is always your picture. So
Yeah.
I would do
You
that.
know, and I'm sorry to cut you off. You know, I have a VA, and I know you've talked about VAs on some of your episodes.
Yeah.
And really, the main crux why I have a VA is that technologically, I am so behind.
Ah,
Like, I'm not just technologically adept. I don't, so he helps me and my wife with all this kind of technological stuff. So I
good.
just let him know, and he'll jump on it and make sure that this looks way better than it is right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. No, that's really, really good. I like that. I like that. I like that. Yeah. Oh, especially having a full-time W-2, there are definitely places where assistants and people within our company can help us. So I think helping with technology is a really good use of a VA. So I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. So the first most important part of your profile is your picture. So we're going to zoom in so we can
Mhm.
see your smiling, warm face. The second is your LinkedIn banner, which I definitely like. I like the color. It's a nice, sophisticated blue. I think that's fantastic. What I would change, well, I'll read it just for folks who are on video. It says, your career is your foundation, real estate is your freedom. Let's build both. Send me a DM. I like it. I like it. I like it. The one thing I would change is it's really small.
Mhm.
Again, probably fine to read on desktop, but we want to make sure when people are taking the time to check out your profile on their phone that we can see this, really bold, really easy to read, especially if your target avatar is people in their mid-career. I'm 45. I need glasses already, so maybe your target avatar needs a little bit bigger font too. The
Okay.
trick is, and I see people make this mistake all the time, make sure that this text isn't behind your amazing face on the phone. Because
Okay.
just because it looks good here on desktop doesn't mean that there won't be some sort of issue with the text being behind your face. Obviously, we
Okay.
don't want that. So check that. The other thing I would change is your call to action. I like that you have a call to action. That's very, very good. Send me a DM. Most people are going to say, well, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, my career is my foundation. Okay, real estate's my freedom. Let's build both. Yeah, I'm in. Okay, this sounds good. And then it says, send me a DM. And they may be going, I don't know what to say. I'm not totally sure. I'm kind of intimidated. I don't know this person. I feel like I know them because they're posting, but I gotta send it. I don't totally know. And people might just get caught up in their head. So an alternative thing to do is to offer some piece of education or information as kind of a bridge. So
Yeah.
that's one of the best ways I've found because people don't necessarily, it's the same thing with like hop on a call with me or schedule a call. Like this is a little, I want to date you before we get married. It's a little too quick. So give
Yeah.
me an intermediate step to understand exactly what you mean. Real estate's my freedom. How does that work? What does that look like? Who is this person? So if you have a lead magnet where you can say, click the link or click my, for my webinar or click for this informational book on how to do that and
Mhm.
have that link here in your profile, I think that that would be a more effective next step for strangers to get to know you and kind of understand how real estate is their freedom.
Nice. Yeah, I actually have two lead magnets. It's on my, if you scroll down a little bit, I have, yeah, that one. I have the commercial real estate vocabulary guide, and
Mhm.
I had the investor's guide to commercial real estate. That's what you should say, the investor's guide to commercial real estate.
Yeah. Okay.
So I did the vocabulary guide because even though I've been in real estate, having my own thing with my wife since 2011, when I got into commercial real estate a couple of years ago, I found out that I still did not understand some of these terms like IRR. Like there's just a lot of things that I did not
Yes.
understand. So I felt that I should, if I think that my avatars are me, then I should please break some of these terms down for them.
Yes.
So
Good. Good, good,
so
good.
that they can learn from that.
Yeah. I like this investor's guide. I would put this first instead of second.
Mhm.
People aren't going to care about vocabulary and what this is until they first understand what's in it for me. Why should this even matter? The question
Mhm.
behind the question, I see a lot of folks do this, and I used to do it too, is oh my gosh, real estate and the returns and the definitions, and here's how it works. People are still in the space on LinkedIn of, I just met you. I don't even know why this is relevant to me. How is this going to help me alleviate a fear? How is it going to get me to my goal of freedom? there's nothing wrong with giving people vocabulary and kind of walking people through it. But I think that that's further down your sales funnel than
Okay.
kind of the very, very top when people just meet you. And that's what your profile is. It's when people are just figuring out, who is this person? What's in it for me? So giving them a bit more hand holding in that direction. Don't get rid of this, but to have this first, I think would be more helpful for folks.
Thank you. We'll
Yeah,
do that.
of
Yeah,
course.
because we did the guide first, and
Okay.
then we did the vocabulary about a month later. So
Great.
I think that was why it was first.
Good. Yeah, and you can, oh, it's so funny it looks like this. LinkedIn is always changing its user interface. Yeah, this isn't what this looked like just a day ago. But anyway, you can switch these. You can have your VA
Yeah, we'll do.
order. Yeah, so you're set there. Okay, good. Good. Okay, so we have your profile picture. We have your headline. And then the next thing we have is this, is your sub headline here. So it
Yeah.
says founder and CEO, 3DS Capital, ICU physician, and multifamily real estate investor. I help healthcare professionals achieve financial freedom through hands-off multifamily investing and syndication. Okay. Given what you heard, Doctor, on my episode with the great Brian Armstrong about LinkedIn profile, what, if anything, would you change here?
I actually changed it because I
Okay.
heard because it didn't look like this a few days ago.
Okay.
Because the founder and CEO of 3DS Capital was the last thing I had there.
Okay.
And I started with being an ICU physician or multifamily real estate. So I changed that around a little bit.
Okay.
I think that what else would and then I added syndication to it because that verbiage wasn't there before.
Yeah.
I just said multifamily real estate investing. Then I said, well, I think I should add syndication since that's really what the kind of multifamily real estate investment I do is. I don't know. Maybe I can pick your brains.
Of course.
To do.
Okay. I don't mean to put you on the spot. I know that's
I'm
a
fine.
hard thing. You're like, Amy,
I
I'm
want to
asking
be
you
on the
for
spot.
advice. Yeah.
I want to be on the spot. It's good. I'm liking this.
In my experience, what I've seen works best is when we talk about how we help people or the pain we help mitigate upfront. So I love that you say how you help people achieve financial freedom and how you help them. I would put that first. And then I would talk about the fact that you're also an ICU physician. Being a physician, that gives you a ton of credibility and a ton of respect. So it's important to have on there. And the fact that you're a real estate investor, a lot of people don't necessarily know what multifamily means. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have it. But if you can just say you're a real estate investor, I think that's plenty. The goal is, as you're making comments throughout LinkedIn, people are going to see generally this first line. They're going to see your name, and then they're going to see your first line here, and they're going to wonder, okay, what's this person all about? So if we say right off the bat how you help people, that's going to cause them to want to visit your profile and then go through your funnel of getting your lead magnet and then taking a look at what you're all about. So does that make sense to put this first?
Yes, it does. It does.
Okay.
Definitely does.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think we should go through my about and then I can ask you one or two more questions.
Okay. Great. Okay. So this is going to be a little bit abridged, but you say here, I've spent over 25 years making life or death decisions in the medical field as an ICU physician, intensivist at the company. I work in an environment where precision isn't optional. It's everything, where clarity under pressure isn't skill. It's a survival requirement. One day, uncomfortable truth hit me. Yes. Okay, good. Take me a different path. How do I create? Good. Okay. All right. So sorry, I just don't want to read all of it for the audience. I'm just kind of skimming here, but I think this is good, giving a bit of background about who you are and how you got to investing in this key decision of, how do I increase my net income without exchanging time for money? What do I do if I stop working? Are these, I'm assuming one or two of these are your main content pillars on LinkedIn. Is that the case?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that most of my posts are, kind of targeted towards the healthcare professionals and how, if something happens and we can't, continue to be present at work, we're going to lose our income. Our as a physician, or healthcare professional, whether you are a nurse practitioner, or a physician associate, once you're not there, you're not earning money, basically.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and that's what I think, that we need, that passive income, that we don't really need to be present and still be able to have income.
Good. The reason I ask is because, again, as you heard on the previous podcast, when we went over LinkedIn profile changes, we want to make sure that our 3 content pillars on LinkedIn are reflected in our about section. So that's why I wanted to make sure that these were actually your content pillars of what you're posting about and the type of people you're, where your comments are being directed. So good. Those are so important. And of course, above and beyond hacking the algorithm, it's really important for for it to resonate with your target avatar, which I'm sure this hits home with them very strongly. So that's outstanding. Yeah, I think walking through this, it looks good without going with a
Going
fine-tooth
too deep
comb.
into it. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's really important that we go through this though. So the other thing I would mention though, and I'm going to say this as lovingly as possible,
No
this
problem.
sounds like it's written by AI. Was it?
Yes, I was going to tell you, yeah, that
Okay.
it was AI, and I
Okay.
did put my flow in, so I wrote it with Claude, and I changed some certain things, because
Yeah.
if I put it the way it was, it's even going to be more.
I get it.
I do use AI.
Yes.
I've heard some of the comments you've had about AI, and I always try to put my own human thoughts into it. The only thing I don't do, I never, all my comments on LinkedIn are just me, purely me, no AI whatsoever.
Good.
And I will sit down there and I will go through and I will respond to everybody by myself. But when it comes to some of my posts, I would use some AI, and I will adjust things depending on what AI comes up with for me.
Okay, that makes sense. And I, again, not trying to be the fun police. I get it. AI can make us so much more productive. It can help organize our thoughts, all of those things. The cautionary tale is, especially with our posts, but also just from, well, I'll start off with our posts. The cautionary tale is LinkedIn's AI can tell AI, and we're just going to be punished. That the visibility is going to go down. People have told, users on LinkedIn have told LinkedIn, we're exhausted reading very clearly AI generated content. It feels gross. It doesn't feel like it's personal. I don't want it anymore. So LinkedIn has said, okay, we hear you. We're going to downrank all of that. So if we're looking to raise capital from strangers on the platform, we don't want to be downvoted. So again, I'm not trying to make anyone's life harder, including yours, doctor.
Yeah,
But
I understand.
it's just what it is. The other thing I think a lot of us have come to recognize certain characteristics of AI, like saying, hey, it's not this, it's that.
Yeah.
It's not a skill, it's a survival requirement. There are just certain little things that kind of catch people and they go, oh, this is written by
AI speak.
AI.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we can't use it for inspiration, as you said, but I might just go through this and see if you can take some of these concepts, put them in a little bit more of your own words. Again, the goal really is, as you know, we want people to feel like they know you, they like you, and they trust you. We want to remove any and all barriers from that. So even if it's imperfect sentence structure, even if maybe there's a spelling error, I mean, we don't want that. But the point is, it doesn't need to be overly sanitized. We want people to feel close to you and like you're actually speaking to them. And AI can just provide too much distance, unfortunately. So I don't mean to call you out, friend, but
No, I'm glad to be called out.
okay.
Actually, I was going to say it first, and I said
Okay.
that's AI, but because I know how you feel about it, but I'm glad you actually pointed it out. So I'll make some adjustments to that. So my question, maybe, and I know that you were running out of time.
That's okay.
How do you, when people finally reach out to you or DM you, or maybe you do, how do you kind of take them from, I've had difficulties with it, from DM to the phone call.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't want to do it too quickly.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to approach it. I mentioned that times when I mentioned, oh, you work here or you do this, like things that I've seen on their profile, so that they know that I've been there, which I have been there. I've read it, but sometimes I just feel a little queasy about, how do I just tell them to, let's jump on a call, or let's kind of take this further, how to kind of move them along in that funnel.
Great
What
question.
tips that you may have with that?
Really, really good question. And exactly right. There's going to be resistance with asking people to hop on a call. We're all pitch slapped on LinkedIn too, where people are, hey, what about a quick 15-minute call? Like, dude, I just met you. I don't know what you're talking about. So I know
Mhm.
you're not doing that, but just to give
Yep.
people context. So we have several approaches. The first one is this framework that I teach my students of, do they have a problem? Can I help them solve it? Are they ready to solve it right now?
Mm.
So if people express to you, hey, I'm reaching out to you, doctor, because I do have a problem with freedom, or I am really afraid that, AI is, I'm a radiologist and AI is going to take over, my radiology practice, or, whatever that looks like. So if they present a problem, then we ask questions, typically not over the phone, over DM of, oh, okay, what have you done to try to solve that? What have you thought through? What questions do you have? And then we can point them to a resource. So my goal for you over time is to have resources like webinars that you've conducted that help people walk through understanding their pain point and how real estate solves it, or an ebook or something like that. But in general, on LinkedIn, the way to get the conversation flowing is to provide a resource that feels no obligation, that feels like it's on their own time, that you're not pitching them, which I know you're not, but giving them an on-demand webinar, a podcast episode, an ebook, something like that, a resource that isn't real estate specific. We're not giving them, again, the real estate terms and definitions. That's coming.
Yep.
But addressing their pains, their fears, their goals when they present that problem can be incredibly, incredibly effective. And the other thing too is, if you're having these monthly nurture webinars, which I teach my students to do, you could always invite them to attend. Give them a link, say, hey, I have physicians that have told me that they're interested in XYZ. I don't know if you thought through this, but you can join us on a free webinar. We're going to talk through it, and you can see, if it's something that's useful to you.
All right. Actually, that gives me another, just to piggyback on that.
Yeah.
I started, I think I did my third one last week, and I'm going to do the fourth one Friday,
Right.
tomorrow. So sometimes I sent out this kind of, there's a way you can push your LinkedIn Live to people, like an invite, and you can click on, I think 400 or 300 or something like that. I did it one time. I don't know if anybody showed up from that invitation or not, but
Yeah.
my question is, how, because that feels like I am like I'm just kind of blasting like a text message to whatever, to
Yeah.
everybody. So
Yeah.
I kind of felt a little queasy about it, so I didn't do it the next time. So what do you think about that? Do you think that's a good strategy or not? Or is it just has to be like one-to-one before the invitation, or you can just kind of invite a group of people who are kind of your target avatar?
Yeah, I don't see a problem with inviting people to the event. The other thing you can do too is, once the event is over, the brilliant thing about LinkedIn Lives is it's always on the platform. So you can always DM it and share it with people too, and say, hey, we were talking about the fact that you're terrified that all your retirement funds are in the stock market, and the stock market's doing all sorts of this. Here's a webinar where I talked about a little known secret about diversifying your retirement account, or, whatever the bridge is. So you can make it a bit more personal. They don't always have to attend live. But yeah, I don't think there's any problem if you've been having conversations, you know what people's goals are, to invite them. I think we've all received those random invites where you're like, I don't even know where this is coming from. I don't know who this person is. I don't think it serves you that well to do that. I don't think you're going to get much traction from it anyway. But if you have people have been interacting with your posts, that have been curious, that you've been talking to, the key is to really name your webinar, your LinkedIn Live, something that's going to make them curious and want to join, right? So that's really where the brilliance is. So they see the value and the reason to attend right off the bat.
All right. So I think I get it now. If I've been having like some kind of conversations with them through DM, then it's good to invite them. But just inviting random people just because they fit your target avatar doesn't really get you any traction anyways.
Yeah, it'll probably make them go, I don't understand what's happening. They'll get their guard up.
This guy is a creep.
Yeah. Okay. You're not, everyone knows you're not a creep, sir. You're an ICU physician.
I'm just kidding.
You're quite the opposite. But I love these questions, friend. You are on the precipice of doing really great things with helping a lot of people. No, I mean it. I see these patterns. I know how this works. You're asking great questions. You're sinking your teeth in. You really understand that you're building a business here. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes I see, is people thinking that this is just kind of some random side hustle and they'll put a few posts on LinkedIn, and all of a sudden the capital will fall from the sky like manna from heaven. And that's just unfortunately not how that works.
I
So,
think I'm lucky in the fact that my work is 1 week on, 1 week off. So when I'm working that week, I'm pretty much working 24 hours a day. Like, I'm at work for 12 hours. And then when I'm even not at work, I still get calls from the night doc from time to time about the
wow.
ICU patients, depending on what's going on with them. But the next week I'm totally off. And obviously in the past, before I got into commercial real estate, I'll go to where I used to work in Michigan and try during COVID, and I'll go pick up extra shifts the week I'm off. And that didn't work out. I got burnt out and stuff. So
Oh my
so the good thing
gosh.
is that the week I'm off, I'm able to, just focus on the real estate and do whatever I can to scale my business.
You're doing a great job. And you mentioned being an ICU physician during COVID. Oh my gosh, that's a whole other podcast we could do at another time.
Yeah,
Goodness
it
gracious.
wasn't fun, I can tell you that. I
Spoiler
love my
alert.
job, but still, no, that was no fun at all. We hope nothing like that ever happens again.
My goodness. Well, friend, thank you so much for joining us today. This was a lot of fun. I know you
Thank
helped
you.
a lot of people with your questions, and hopefully this was helpful to you too.
Very, very helpful. Thank you so much. I'll obviously keep following you. I'm still looking at your 8 week course at
Oh,
some point. But yeah, it's just amazing what I've learned just from listening to your podcast. It's a lot of value.
that's what it's all about. And if people want to reach out to you, which I'm sure they will, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can go to my website. It's 3dscapital.com. That's the number 3dscapital.com, all in one word. And they'll find a link to book a call if they want. There's a link to join my email list if they want. And it's just a ton of information there about what we've done before and what we're planning to do in the future.
You're so impressive. Thank you again for joining us today, Doctor. Really
Thank you
appreciate
very
you.
much. I
And thanks
appreciate it
everyone
too.
for joining. Make sure to reach out to the wonderful doctor, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Bye for now. Hey, real estate investors, fund managers, capital raisers, syndicators. If you are struggling with predicting how much capital you can raise for a deal, because investors say they're going to wire, but they actually back out, you struggle with finding investors beyond your network of friends and family, if you find yourself falling short on your capital raises for your real estate investments, and you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars to travel to conferences all across the country, only to find that the people you're hoping to raise capital from are also trying to raise capital from you, hit the subscribe and follow button, and I promise y'all are going to love what we're going to cover here. I'm going to deliver free content every single week in and week out, to help you get to the next level in your real estate investing capital raises.